Well, guys, 2025 is now officially in the rearview mirror, and we're on to 2026. But we got one more, the final video of the signed comics of 2025. And we've got Young Justice and Young Blood are what were the books I posted, the books I had signed. So let's go over them. So we have start off with day 359, Young Young Justice number 32, signed by Todd Nayak. This issue, the reason why I got it signed and I'm sharing it with you is this was the issue where Empress goes on a date with Little Lobo, not Slobo, Little Lobo. And it was a very entertaining book because it's like whenever there's like a snap or a noise, it would set him off, and like he changed personality, and it was like continually throughout the date he'd like go from being nice and sweet to rah, rage and back and forth, and it was very entertaining, and it really helped out with establishing a relationship between Lobo and Empress, and I really did enjoy it, which paid off at the very end of the series, and I really did like that, especially when Lobo transforms into Slobo. Again, I enjoyed it very much, and it was this was one of those issues where it just seemed like it was just an entertaining issue, but you didn't realize it was building up to something. First, the transition from Lil Lobo to Slobo, and then later on to the conclusion with Empress and Slobo. So I really did enjoy it, and that's the reason why I had it included. And then from there, now here's where I screwed up, and I came up an issue short, and instead of correcting, because I didn't realize I was making the error, I just posted it twice. This was issue number 40 of Young Justice. This was a isolated, almost like an inventory story. It was Young Justice saves Santa Claus, in essence, saves Christmas. And it was very entertaining the way uh, Peter did it. Todd Nayak only had to do like one illustration per page, and then Peter did the story. It was all done like in a book format, or it wasn't done with word bubbles. It was just done with the writing, and then there's a large text of writing. So, but it was still entertaining, especially in the end where it shows like how the characters were getting. It starts with like, and by the end the characters are being squished to the bottom of the page, and it was very entertaining. And I would definitely advise anybody who's if you've never read the issue 40 of Young Justice, check it out. It was very entertaining. Uh, it's just it's almost like an inventory story, very well done. And it's one of those like if DC were to want to do like how like they if they wanted to do a compilation trade paperback of Christmas stories, this would be one that you definitely want to have included in it. So, and then from there we go. That was days 360 and 361. We go from there to day 362, and that's Young Justice number 48. This was like towards like the climax with Empress having to fight, and her parents die in this issue, and in the end of the story arc, her parents are reincarnated or brought back to life as infants, and so Empress has to basically retire as a superhero to take care of her parents, which leads into uh, the final issue, issue 55 of Young Justice, which was day 363. Again, signed by Todd Nayak. And what it is it's very beginning of the issue starts with Empress in a park with her children, and her children are are crying and throwing a fit, and she's like at her wit's end. Okay, and she's like, "Oh my God, you guys won't stop crying." Da da da. And I'm like, and how like kind of like it's unfair that that I have to take care of my parents. And Slobo, who is blind, I forget what the reason was, but Slobo is blind, and he comes up and he sits next to Empress, and he basically tells her, "Hey, it's the job of all children, of all children, that in the end, it's their job to take care of their parents when they get old, and that's part of almost like kind of like the circle of life. It's part of like the circle of life where it's like your parents raise you, and then in the end, when they get old, you in turn take care of them." So I found that to be a very, and remember also, and like I said, Slobo was blind, and I forget what the reason was, but it's just the way he sits there and he gives her these words of wisdom, and which one of those where it's like it's very non-Lobo, but remember it's not Lobo, it's Slobo, and how he's giving her these words of wisdom. And of course, at the end of the story, of course, they're fighting Dark Side, or as Secret calls refers to it as Doug's side. And the Teen Titans go up against Dark Side, and Slobo goes to attack Dark Side, and Dark Side's I'm done with you, and Dark Side hits him with the Omega beams and transports him out to the far future into a, so he's like a in a statue, and then it shows like the future versions of Young Justice going off to fight fight an evil, and Slobo is nothing but a decoration and their a trophy in their headquarters, which was very entertaining. And like I said, that they did this because they were wanting to start doing Lobo, the badass bitch bastard that he is. So they had to write out Slobo from the series, and I like the way they did. It was just very entertaining, and it gave them it's that way you could just close out his story and bring back the badass Lobo all over again. So without actually really having to give any explanation. So yeah, I see that. Hold on, let's do that here. There you go. That way you can see the artwork, but you don't see my hand. So yeah, end of the year, and end of this year, and I'm finally figuring out how to do this. So streaming is hard. So, but then from there we go to the final 2 days of signed comics for 2025, and we're bringing the boom, Fraga Boom, Dan Fraga with his 2 issues of Young Blood, and remember, I was like these this important for Dan because this is what gave him his career, and here he's issue 0. And he's like, and when I had him sign issue 0 of Youngblood, he's like, "Oh yeah," he goes, "This was it. This was the start." And he was he was very excited to have me sign this issue. So I had him sign this one, and then the final day, which was day 365, Youngblood number 9, again signed by Dan Fraga. This was the issue where all the creators of Image swapped titles for an issue. And Jim Valentino, he did this issue of Youngblood, and Dan Fraga did the inks over Valentino. And this was an entertaining one because they did again. It was an isolated story, almost like an inventory story. And here, what it was basically is Bad Rock is all he's remember he's a kid in this body, and he's all excited because he's getting like a movie deal or a TV show, and he's all excited, and all of the Youngblood members are kind of like, take it easy, take it easy. And in the end, here he gets humiliated on national TV, and he's all like, oh, ah! But it was an entertaining issue. It's one of those where it's like Rob didn't have any ideas. He was like, here, just do this. And I mean, at the time also, it was, I remember when the character was created, it was Bedrock. And here, because of the possibility of licensing or legalities because of the Flintstones with Bedrock as part of one of because of the town of Bedrock in the cartoon, Rob didn't want to have to deal with the possibility of like lawsuits or whatnot, so he just changed him to Bedrock. So this was part of the rebrand, and he actually said it in the book. I was like, "Yeah, I'm rebranding myself," and that was all they needed to do, really, to say like, "Okay, we're rebranding him. He's not Bedrock. He's Badrock." So I thought that was, and again, it's like you don't have to go into too much explanation. Just have like, yeah, I'm just rebranding myself. That's why I'm changing my name. I'm changing my brand, which worked. So as to say, the rest is history. Just as the rest of these books, the signed books of 2025, is history. Um, I've seen it, and the things there's a lot of books that I have signed that I didn't get to share with you guys or highlight. What I might do is this upcoming year, because this year up of 2026, as I've posted already, I'm going to be posting Star Wars and GI Joe. I don't know if I'm going to be doing weekly videos talking about that. What I might do is, okay, let's say I want to talk about the Avengers, because I didn't really, I only posted like 2, 3 books of the Avengers. What I might do is like, if I want to talk about the Avengers, or in one of my videos, what I'll do is I'll just post a whole bunch of signed issues of the Avengers and then talk about that. So that's what I might just do. So, but that, and then another thing I'm also going to probably do eventually, it's not going to be like go home and do it right away and then have a video guys for you next week. What I'm probably going to do also is creating an Excel spreadsheet of all of the books that I did, so I can see. Okay, Dan Frag, I posted like 5 of his books that he did, and that he signed. I've got 5 of Mark McKenna, something like that, and just like, we'll go through and see. Like, we'll go through and see who did I share, what artist uh, signed the most books that I shared with you guys that year. So that would be something to consider down the road. So that way, I can like look it up, I can compile it, and then just do a couple of videos of like, okay, these were the 5 artists that you guys saw the most. These are the 5-ish artists that you saw the least. That type of thing. So we'll see how it goes. Depends. Because like I said, I mean, I've got like this. I've got this work for not Dan Loss, for John's Long Box that I'm working on. And then I've also got commissions that I'm working on. I've got a Husky commission that I'm working on right now that is coming along pretty. It's coming along pretty well. I'm actually getting it done very, very fast, much faster than I anticipated. I would not be surprised if within the next 2 weeks I'll be posting it up on the socials of the completed work. So now the funny thing about that is, I've discovered that when I'm doing these really fine dots, okay, now I'm doing a good job here with talking to you guys, but when I'm working, or let's say I want to do a dot. Let's pull back. Let's say I want to do a dot screen. Come on, pull back. There we go. Let's say I want to do a whole screen of dots, almost like a 10% tone behind him completely. I discovered from coming in here on Fridays when they have a DJ playing that when the bass is really thumping and the music's loud, how I really will, I get much more done. And what I mean by that is when I'm putting down dots, okay, when I'm putting down dots, okay, like right now when I'm putting them down, if I go slow, get a bigger. I gotta clean off my knit rags, so give me a minute here. But so yeah, that was. This is gonna be an inking technique, if you will, that I've discovered. And this works for me. It's not gonna work for everybody. Um, the more noise and what for most people would be distractions, all becomes white noise for me, and I really zero in on what I'm doing. So there we go. So if I'm laying down a dot, okay, I get a dark dot when I go slow, okay. When I go fast, especially if I've got the music and the high bass, okay, I go down fast and I pull back quickly, okay, and I get a much finer dot. So I've discovered that, like, if I want to do a really fine dot screen, what I need heavy bass. So when I discovered that when I was working on one of my commissions, how I got the fine dots done so much better and quicker when I've got all the background noise and the bass going. So I really, so this husky, well, the only thing that's really going to hold up this husky being done is I've got a large area to do, and there's only, the DJ only plays for a certain period of time. So it might take me longer to get the husky done just because of having to do uh, the limited time that the DJ is playing. So it might take me a week or two extra because of that. So, and of course, I want to pull this in. We'll pull it in down here. Yeah, I'm liking that. So let's see here. Let's see here. Yep. So plus also when I'm working on comic book stuff like this, I'm not going for photorealism. I'm just focusing on the push pull of the texture. So that's where it's also different. That's what enables me to uh, create a difference between this and a portrait. So plus also when I get into a rhythm with the portraits, it's like once you get yourself into a mindset, it's just much easier just to crank it all out with uh, moving from one commission straight into the next, which is the other reason why I've kind of like pulled away from working on this for John, because I get into a rhythm and you want to maintain that rhythm. So once I start working on this for John, I'll be doing much more. I'll be like bang, all of a sudden I'll be like went from like having like a page and a half done to like boom, 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 boom. All the pages are gonna be cranking. So plus also when I'm doing a comic book page, there's much more detail in the comic book page than a portrait. Portraits are relatively easy to draw versus everything that goes into the composition of just one panel and then the whole page uh, layout of a comic book page. So, uh, comic book page is actually going to take a much longer because there's much more involved work to be done as opposed to just doing uh, a portrait. So, but this is the time of year where I get the portrait commissions, so you got to get them done. So, okay, so let's go. We'll go right back up here, hit hard along the edge, and then fade it out. So there we go. That's working. So yeah, that's my game plan for sharing signed books along with doing videos. Like I said, I'm not planning on doing like a weekly video like I've been doing in 2026. It'll be like one of those where it's like, because it's going to be like Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. If that week or I'm posting an issue that I really like that's signed, I'll probably do a video on it. But I'm not going to do a video talking about every single issue that I have signed, just like I did this year. So, but so, but like I said, 2025 and the signed comics of 2024 F5, it's in the rear view mirror, and I'm on and off to bigger and better things. So, you guys all have a great new year. You know I'm having a great new year. And of course, as always, take life one dot at a time. Yeah, that looks cool. Look at that. Just little dots right there, and boom, looks cool. So, take care, guys.